I tried Googling it. Well,
Thank you.
Sawmills and business, huh?
Yeah.
Those trees.
Get started, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this, committee work study session. Gonna share with that one.
Yeah. What?
This for Monday.
You guys ready?
Why don't you just hand them out?
Oh, Ken.
Yeah, it should say May or it's too, by the way.
February ordinance.
Sorry, who's asking?
Yeah, that's just information, I guess.
We'll get to that when we get to that, Bob.
So that's tonight for this committee.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it here in a little bit. It's on the agenda. His fault.
My fault. Yeah.
So we're gonna start with infrastructure, grounds, and street and sidewalk committee. Bob, you are the. And you and Nancy are the only ones here from that committee. You two,
Oh, man,
yeah.
the only thing I can tell you. Get to bring this up and I can. All of the questions that the mayor requested, but all of the police department is hitting on 7 cylinders, working on 8. No major problems that I'm aware of. The new car.
Wait a minute, Bob, back up. You're going too fast. We're talking about infrastructure, ground, streets, and sidewalks. No, you're not. Rodney is, he's not here.
So it goes to the next.
Next person on the committee. So the committee consisted of Rodney as the chair, Bob, Nancy, and Josh.
I don't have anything on that committee unless Nancy would have something.
The only thing is what's listed on here. And street improvements, Kelly's given us an update on that. In the past, I think, what the new streets are gonna be. Repairing curb along Georgia Street, where does that need to be done?
So all the stuff are just stuff I threw out there. Just the whole intent was just like the street improvements, we got new council members and everything, just to let everyone know. You should have gotten the email, and just since it's being recorded, so the public would know. Ellie, you want to go through, you want me to read it?
Go ahead, you read through it.
All right, so the repaved that the previous council approved, budgeted $187,000 for roughly, 7 streets. So repaving all Buffalo Street, repaving Maryland Street 9th to Maple, repaving South 10th Street, North Carolina to South Carolina, Johnson Street, Georgia to Kentucky, Kentucky Street from Kelly Lane to Dover, Marion Drive, second curve to the end, and then Michael Drive all. And as far as these were approved, but we haven't made any bid specs to put out for bids yet.
That's correct.
So we're still waiting on
To be done this season.
Had a citizen express concern about Virginia Street disrepair. I spoke with Kelly, and he shared that he agrees it's in disrepair, but there's a lot of things underneath that street too that probably needs to be brought up to speed before we can just repave the street.
And just, they've done some pothole fills,
This has been doing that. I'll turn it off.
done some pothole fills that have helped with some of that issue. Okay, I'm not aware of any curbing problems along Georgia.
The reason I throw that out there is because our new curbs where chunks of it's busted off. And I don't know if that's something that we just gotta, I mean, we just gotta live with, or even if we can do anything with it. You know, as far as, filling them back in, I don't know if there's anything, that's why I just brought the question up.
There's one section I know of, it's right there at Seventh in Georgia. That's the only section in curve that I know that somebody got up against and knocked it out.
Yep.
I don't think that that would be warranted because I don't think that that's any kind of a defect. I mean, somebody just ran over and knocked it out. But it would be possible to see what that would cost to put that curb back in that little section of curb. I'm not aware, is there any other places?
14th Street, wait, 17th, right there by, Reese, Jeffries. It's not right on Georgia, but it's as you're going down 17th, the back side of it, it's about a 1.5 feet long, that's busted off. And then there's a couple more, I guess I can point them out to you, but I just don't know if they can be repaired or I don't know. I just want, when you're going down Georgia Street, you see this new project and stuff, just see some of these things, and that's why I brought it up, Nancy.
Okay.
Kelly, you want to talk about?
So the short issue, the short answer is they can be repaired. I would have to look at the other ones. I didn't know that other ones to make sure it's not a workmanship or material breach. And see if we have a warranty, and if not, I mean, if it's been damaged where somebody's run over it or whatever, then we would have to put it back, but it can be done.
It looks like the other two items on here are staffing issues for grounds department.
Yeah, I can touch on that. We're, NECC doesn't have anybody again this year, it looks like. MoDOT's not even getting them out of Band-Aid yet, asked for since COVID started. So we're trying to staff it the best we can. Finding part-time seasonal help right now, finding any help is tough.
Mhm.
But the part-time seasonal help's been pretty tough. We have had a couple come forward, but we still need some more. So I even sent the football coach a text today to see if he had any football boys over 16 on the swing league this summer. So we're still there if you know of anybody.
Good way to stay in shape, shoving the mower up the hill.
Yeah. That would be good. Yes.
Kind of like if they can't get on it right, if they don't want anything to do with it.
So, and then if we covered that, the status of the sidewalk grant, we have been writing occasional grant from time to time when asked. We haven't turned anyone down for that. It's over budget in the line item itself, but I don't believe we've had any commercial. Yes, we have. We've had some commercial. Like we're probably over line item, but no more than it's over. I don't like to turn those down if we get the ads in for them. And just so you know, we pay for the materials and the property owner pays for the labor to put those in.
Around the houses, you mean?
Yeah. Now it can't be the private sidewalk going from
Sidewalk.
the main sidewalk to the door, but it's the one that runs
Gotcha.
with the street.
Kelly, I have a question. My 16-year-old, I mean, he's very smart. And most of his uncles are employees. Would he be given a chance just to see how he does?
We have another 16-year-old that put in, and we kind of waived temporarily. Our nepotism policy goes way beyond what the states does. And we kind of backed that off, if you remember, so we could get some help in. So I'm not turning anybody 16 or over, I'm not turning anybody down right now. If they can swing a weed eater and want to work,
I mean, one of them,
They can
he'd
follow up, they can follow
have
up
to be
on
worked
that.
with a little bit. I mean, Corey's worked with him some, but
put in an app.
Helps out. Anything else for infrastructure, ground, street and sidewalks committee, guys? Okay, we'll move on. Bob, now you can go public safety.
Start with
Start with the first little bullet there and just.
The,
Can you read this?
Come up.
Staffing levels, I believe we're one officer down right. They're interviewing. It might be two, but I know that, as of like today, the chief is working nights covering a guy's shift. Guys, father's very ill. So they got some confusion there on the, not confusion, but the chief's out working the midnight shift again. Budget, we don't have any problem with our budget this year, do we, Kelly? We're pretty much right in line.
As far as the current, I believe the current budget is.
Year to date. New Durango status is what it is. It's in the shop and they're waiting on it, so that's something we know. Patrol car replacement status, insurance on that, Kelly? Any and all, or
Insurance.
well, the car replacements, the one.
We're talking about the-
Oh, yeah, I heard, no, we turned in a claim and we have heard nothing from the insurance company on that yet. Sorry, yes.
And the drug enforcement, the K-9 status, as of now, it's all in place. The officer that handles the K-9 is still here. There were stories and different situations that came up when our mayor was elected, but I think it looks like we're working through most of those, so. All of the police forces here except one, and we're interviewing for that, so there's no major problems for the police force that I'm aware of. And that's all we got on the police department. Fire department.
Did you get that email from Phil?
Yes. The fire department is wanting to purchase a side-by-side or a four-wheeler for public safety, for emergencies.
Different city events that get utilized for.
Yeah, for parades. And I got hit with all of this at once yesterday. I don't know how I feel about that. I initially, right off the bat, I'm not convinced we need something like that for $20,000. I think we can go further with fire department safety. I mean, we'll spend $20,000. We have Buffalo Township has two side-by-sides that they're more than willing to bring and use for anything that we would have. They use them for brush fires or whatnot. With that being said, I'm open for the committee to give some input, and I would probably go with what the committee thought or what the committee wanted to do. But the committee, all of us, we got to get together and talk about it. But like I said, I just got hit with that yesterday, day before.
He kept trying to send it to me and it wouldn't go through, so he sent it to me in a text.
So basically, the fire department, I don't want them to overextend on their budget. Philip's done a great job in working with the budget. We've had a problem with one fire truck. We found another advanced fire truck. We got it in at a good price. We've got a tremendous amount of new equipment on top of with that fire truck, and we got it. We almost have the $5,000 a year payment for the oxygen tanks. I think we got one payment left on that. Kelly would know more about it, but he wants to roll the last payment or two over into another loan. And finish out the air tank loan, create a new one with the side by side in it. And it would just go on. It would not be, it would be more cost to the city, but it would not be more in payments. It would just be extended cost. Is that right, Kelly?
Yes, something.
So it's just a thing of if we do or do not need $20,000 side by side for the fire department. When we have mutual aid from Buffalo Township, they got two of them. They're more than willing to. And they're very good about bringing their equipment to anything we have, so.
Are there situations in town where you would see we might need that? Because I think 20,000, I think the fire budget is about 80, isn't it?
I mean, I can see it being handy if we've got a foot of snow on the ground, and we're waiting on roads to get plowed.
If it's a payment, it'd be a $5,000.
See, you know, if he had a first responder call or something, instead of having to count on Buffalo to be able to gain access to it, you know, if Philip had to make a call and jump on it and hit the road to use it in that sense, I could see it being handy.
I
Brush
believe
fire.
100% that you can come up with 4 different scenarios on why we should or should not. And that's what the committee's gonna be for, and try to get with them between now and the next meeting. I think we must try to get something wrapped up by the meeting because of budget restraints, right? Because he wants to, and he wants to act on this year's budget, so. We will have to have a special meeting on that, or if we do it all at the last meeting of the year.
You know, it may be something too that can be discussed during a work study session, which I think we plan on doing for the budget. You know, that may be able to touch on that.
I feel like
later.
that'd be an appropriate time to continue that discussion then.
Yeah, roll
It is a budget discussion that should be brought up there.
I can also offer some help a little bit as far as the opportunity for surplus. May have equipment like that, and also what grant opportunities there are. I'll let Philip know what opportunities there might be.
I think anything would help. We get a grant, we get something. I don't want county giving us anything, it's normally not worth a damn.
Yeah,
Their state service.
let's see.
But usually it's something they can't use or don't want anymore. So.
Can we send that invitation to Philip for the budget meeting so we can have him here for questions?
Well, and that's what we need. We need Philip here, we need the people that's on the committee. We need input. And we need a solid package that we can take to council.
Yeah, I've been
I have
having
no problem
how he
taking
thinks we use it.
the package
Yeah.
either way. we-
I think he'd have it put together,
Yeah,
because he's
Yeah.
the one that is overseeing all that, so I'm sure he sees things way differently than we do.
Yeah,
exactly. I want to know where he thinks it's going to be of use because he knows better than I do certainly about.
he asked for a reason, he must have a reason for wanting it.
Yeah.
And if I'm a little kid at a parade, I don't wanna see a 4x4, I wanna see the big fire truck.
Well, I'm sure there's- yeah.
Hey, Bob, if I can, I had a couple of questions, go back. We're an officer down.
Well, if he's spending time with his dad in the hospital, it's pretty.
Oh, I tell you, you're getting ready to hire someone because we as an officer down.
Oh, we are an officer down, that is correct.
That also, for short one.
Which officer are we down? Which one left?
Pitzer.
Huh?
Pitzer.
Pitcher.
Okay. So, all right.
And then who's, sorry, just to follow on that, who's the one that's in the dad's in the hospital?
Gambling.
Okay.
Canine.
Yeah.
So Charlton's on full-time status with us?
So that's the other one we're down. We are down to, Charlton did take another job opportunity somewhere else.
Is he gonna stay on part-time with us at all?
I wouldn't. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Did he officially turn in?
And I was gonna meet Will
I
today.
believe, This.
find out, but like I said, he got off at 8 this morning, he worked all right, so. Probably sleep.
I sent an email last week. I'm still waiting for a response.
So, and that's what we have on the police, and then that's what we have on the fire department. Fire department is hitting on all cylinders. Philip does a good job, and I don't, other than the budgeting and the side by side, the first thing that was mentioned to me was, well, you know, if a deer hunter falls out of a tree, you know, you gotta be able to get up to him.
That's more of a county thing.
I checked, and
City.
we haven't had any deer hunter in Louisiana fall out of a tree in years.
But what if a kid gets lost on Star Hill? What if a kid's lost on Star Hill or one of these other ones that are in town?
Yeah, those are the kind of things I'd like to hear from Philip. If that's something that we're worried about, that we need that mobility.
We need
Yeah.
to do something about
Let's
it.
do it.
Well, I can speak to some of that, like I've been on calls with those guys when they show up. And sometimes it takes them a little longer to get to some of the houses that are higher on hills that their big trucks can't actually get to. So them being able to load that equipment on a side by side plus some men or women to get up to the person in need faster is where I could see it being beneficial.
But a situation like that, you've got Buffalo Township backup with 2 of them sitting there.
Well, unless they're busy on something else.
Like I said, it's not, we can
Sure.
discuss it anyway and come up with more different scenarios on why you should or why you shouldn't.
Right.
And that's why,
Well, a good discussion makes for a smarter decision anyway.
and get Philip in on it and be serious about it, trying to figure out if it's something we really think we need, or can that money be put better use with the fire department?
Sure.
And other things.
Yeah, I've just seen
Phil's
those,
gonna be part of it, he'll be in with the discussion and.
I've just seen those guys work their tails off, getting the equipment up to where they need to be. Versus being still at 100% or 95% by the time they get there, they're at 75% because they toted all this stuff to somewhere that's not easily accessible because all their equipment's down here.
I'm not arguing that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I understand what you're saying. I'm seeing it.
Bob, anything else?
No.
Alright.
Yeah, one question.
You do?
Yeah, I got one question. That, I'm not aware, and I'm asking the council, Kelly, do we have any type of a contract with the K9 unit as far as the officer and the dog?
Yes,
Do we have, okay,
there is a contract.
who, do you have a copy of that memory?
I have Nadia's contact and, yeah, Nadia's contact.
Okay. I'll get that from you. Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. You're up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the list here? So the first one on the list is section 110-260. Is Scott on there?
No, he's
I
not.
don't see him.
He's not, I've been getting
Yeah.
information from him. He's gonna try and get on, he said.
I spoke to him just a little bit before, and he said that he was gonna be getting off a little early and trying to make it, but I spoke to him just in case we'd have this situation.
Yeah, he said the back half of the meeting.
So, I mean, if you guys don't mind, we can circle back to that one.
Maybe that'd be best.
He really wanted to address, so I feel like should only ask those questions better.
Sure, so then we can get to oh, next we had the discussion of the ordinances from last meeting.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I got all those. I'll just leave it to the committee. If anyone had any discussions,
Oh,
Did anybody have any
I'm
questions
sorry, I
about,
thought you had some.
did anybody have any questions about Bill 7163, duties of the police chief? Start with that one.
That's the one where we got once.
This was read once and approved. Anything? All right, if there's no questions on that one.
so now that one memory, that was read twice, wasn't it?
No,
It was read once.
Because I wrote it down that night. That was it. So, okay.
And that was read once and then we
Because I know that,
able to come back here.
because the city administrator one, we read this once.
No, the city
Administrator
administrator
was read twice.
And city admin twice, and then police chief once. we did standing committee twice, and then the other two we didn't have.
Correct.
We got
So-
editing.
We'll move on to bill number 7164, standing committees. Did anybody have any questions about that one? This one was read twice.
Yes.
So that one actually is passed.
Correct.
But no, it's had a first and second reading in council pack. It hasn't been adopted yet.
Oh.
It's been passed.
That's what I'm. I was trying to get in. so I can
And-
send it to people.
7166, duties of city administrator. This one was read twice. I know I got excited. Does anybody have any questions on that one? Yeah. All right, there's no questions. We'll move on to mixed cats.
Okay.
Yeah, they're your cat.
Community. Thank you very much. So we've got a number of things in here. I tried to break them up into sections. What we've got going on basically is we passed a number of ordinances in February relating to community cats. We would like to undo some of that, modify some of that. The way I plan to propose that action to council is to just repeal those bills and then propose some additions and amendments where we still have things to add or to amend. I think that would be easier than amending and amended, be easier for people to access, for people to understand. And in addition to that, at our meeting in, yeah, that would have been the February meeting. Can't remember the timeline
We
anymore.
talked about these for so long.
Yeah, but so after we initially passed in the next meeting, we had a discussion with the Cat Coalition.
Yes,
And Deb Holland and there was somebody she knows, Abby Nutz, I don't know if she was here, I think she's not someone local, but she's done a lot of work in these kind of animal control ordinances for municipalities. And so she sent along an ordinance they had drafted for another town that they think is, I think she said that they thought it was sort of the gold standard for ordinances.
Mhm.
And so I'm working on going through that and trying to see what we can adopt out of that. To see what our ordinance includes, what it doesn't. So a lot of these definitions, for example, are, as I was going through the definitions, seemed like there were some that would fit for us and that would be useful. And so I'm gonna try to start bringing some of those things in and start comparing our ordinances to that ordinance to see if we can make some changes that will improve the environment for DNR program for the Cat Coalition. So when you look at the things we've got here, for example, we didn't have a definition of abandoned. And so this put model language, so that means that I pulled it from the ordinance that was sent to us. And proposed for adoption means that I would suggest we just stick that right into our ordinance. Looks good to me, let's take it. Let's see, the next one, a little more complicated. We've got the language that I'm proposing. And we've got the language our ordinance currently has, and then we've got the model language that was adopted in that ordinance that was sent. And so what I'm proposing it to be is any unowned free roaming cat living in an outdoor environment forming part of a cat colony. I think that's better than ours, because I just think it gets to the essence of what a community cat is better. They're unowned, they're free roaming, they get shelter, but they live primarily outdoor. And they're part of a cat colony. I think that's what's from just a regular feral cat or from an owned cat. Right, that they're sort of a middle ground between a cat that's just totally wild or that has gone totally feral, and one that is owned and fully domesticated. It forms sort of this round. I thought that the model language was just sort of a little bit wordy, and I didn't like that it said a community cat may or may not be feral. In my mind, we've got these three categories. And so once a cat begins to feed, it becomes a community cat. Once it sort of joins that colony, it becomes a community cat.
I disagree because a feral cat will come to a food bowl. But if you open that door, it's gone like the wind. So I
The way I
disagree with
understood
that
it,
word.
I mean, the community cats don't go inside either, right?
No, no,
Most of the community cats, if you approach them or open your door, they don't come in either, right?
right, but I mean, I think what I'm trying to differentiate
Exactly.
as opposed to a community cat who has gotten used to being worked with, and you may be able to pet it, but it doesn't come inside and it's not a pet. But it will accept your presence. It may even be sitting at the food bowl waiting for you when you get there, as opposed to a feral cat. It will stand off in the bushes and watch you, and then
Wait till you
once
leave.
you leave, then it will come. But if you show back up again, it's gone. So to me, they're still, in my mind, they're still all feral because they're not a pet.
For me, it
A
seems so like,
stray to me is a cat an animal, period, that's gotten lost somehow.
yeah, it's still
Uh,
owned, it's still
or-
domesticated, but it's just out somewhere.
Where to me, even these community cats, I think we're trying to split the hair too far. They're still a feral cat. They're not owned, they won't be owned, most of them are not tameable. The ones in particular that I've worked with them for about 3 years now. And I can pet most of them. There's a couple I can pick up. There's one that every time I open the door, it runs in and my cat runs out. And I spend quite a bit of time getting everybody back where they belong, but she doesn't live in the house. She knows that there's food in there. So she runs to my cat's bowl and and I shoot her out. But if she were to get shut in there, she would go bananas. She wouldn't want to be trapped in there.
So it seems to me like we've got cats that are clearly feral, cats that are clearly owned. The community cats are sort of in the middle. And basically what I'm proposing to make the difference is that a community cat is one that's part of a colony, so it's ideally sort of on the road. And if it's part of the colony, the community cat caregivers now are, seeing these cats, hopefully, getting used to seeing these cats. They can see if there are changes, if a cat is.
I can agree with
diseased or
I can
something.
agree with all that. I just think that, I don't
You
know,
think
it
we
just
still
seems
need to
like they're
keep-
trying to split it down too
So should we keep that?
succinctly.
Well, so do you think we should add the part about they may be feral back in? I mean, to me, that just seems to confuse things more. And so that's why I didn't put it into our definition.
Let's see, any
So the definition I'm
Here-
proposing is the underlying one. And it seems to me the three things are unknown, or four maybe. Unknown, free roaming, outdoor environment, cat colony.
Yeah.
And so it seemed
the
like,
proposed language.
you like that?
Yeah, I think that, a cat could become a community cat for any number of reasons. Like the ones that I'm currently taking care of. I believe that the lady that lived about 2 blocks down the street, I believe she had to go to a nursing home and her family put those cats out. And then they began to do what cats do. So, they were clearly abandoned.
Yeah.
But
In that case, I would hope that, well, maybe at that point they can't be identified, but I would think that those then would go directly into a cat colony because they're not afraid of humans. And they wouldn't mind, so then they would sort of immediately move into the community cat class based upon free roaming, they're no longer owned, I guess.
I can agree with that. It took, I'm just speaking from my personal experience, and it took a while to, the way it started at my house was, this mama showed up and she had 4, probably 6 or 8 week old kittens trailing behind her. And It took a while to convince her that. You know, I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm not gonna try and be. I'm not gonna try and grab you either.
So is there some language you think we should add to the proposed language? To
Well,
make it clear?
I like the way that the proposed language.
Okay.
You have, I do like that, the current language. It's
What I don't like is lost.
just being, yeah,
Down at the bottom,
I
I
don't
don't
like
like
that.
lost being in there, because if they're lost, I want to get them back to their owner.
It doesn't really
rather than.
matter why the cat wound up becoming a community cat. I
Exactly.
think I think the
Exactly.
current language is trying to just make every possible
in that
scenario.
model language. Way down, the last sentence, it says, and is no longer considered domesticated. You Put like, they may no longer be domesticated, something just to break that up. Last paragraph there in the proposed language and model language, like sentence.
Oh, yeah, that's way down on Hero though. Bob, you jumping ahead of me.
Yes, he's on second page.
Stay with the class, fine. Working ahead again. But yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Nick, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does the city still own enough empty, several empty lots throughout town? Like, there at one point, I know we owned a few different places in town that were probably in each of the neighborhoods. Do we still have all that, or have we
I do
leased
not
them out or sold them off
I do
or?
not know. I know for sure some of the ones like next to the Bridge Coffee Shop. Across from there, I don't know we own that as a little park, but I don't know where in the wards there's some areas that we own. We have a few.
I was wondering if instead of individuals bringing these cats around other individuals' homes to feed them, which after you feed them, they then go in people's yards or under their porches and they go to the bathroom and then people's houses start to smell of cat. If we could find different spots in town to have the food available to the cats, that I don't know if animal control or volunteers could go to these locations, put the food, put water out and do all that, that would be not under everybody's near other people's porches, so that way after they eat, they don't go wasting everybody's yards all over town.
If you could convince the cats to.
I understand you're not gonna control them to
Then you
that,
have to put some
but-
shelters there too, and maybe.
but it seems like the cat situation is a high priority for the city and for several people of the city. That maybe somebody would donate some housing for them or some makeshift litter sandboxes or whatever that could be used as litter boxes to where they would maybe possibly most of them go to those areas instead of under my porch or under Tiffany's porch or Tim's porch or, you know, instead of saying,
I see
Cassie,
what you're saying.
you have 30 cats come to your house to eat, but all your neighbors now have to deal with this problem.
Like community cat park.
Yes. And maybe.
If that's something that'll work with the program, because I know cats can be somewhat territorial. I mean,
Territorial.
That's
what I
would be
was
the
gonna
thing.
say.
That's what I remember from the cat. That might be a good thing
Yeah.
to take to the cat coalition,
They would.
because they would have more expertise on, you know, how the
Well, I know
program
that
actually
there's-
works in order to.
On
I like
Main
that.
Street, there's an abandoned house. And I know that they get underneath that house.
So there's one on Iowa too, that there's.
Well, the house I used to live in on Iowa Street, the neighbor across the street, she took care of the cats well. Like she made sure they had plenty of food and all that, but whenever they got done eating her food, then my house had to smell like cat shit all the time. Because they would cross the street and come right over there, and that's where they would do their business. I was just wondering if it was feasible to have locations that were maybe not in such populated areas to offer the cats to go.
I think that's a great idea if you could That's good.
Well, I'm not much on convincing a cat.
Which I think you could convince them to come there and eat. I don't know about convincing
But
them
I'm-
to stay.
I also always wanted to convince my neighbor to stop feeding them unless she was going to come clean up underneath my porch that, and I couldn't no longer walk underneath because of the snow. So I don't know if your neighbors are having the same issue.
Well, I'm
But
lucky in that there's just a little field across from
Right.
me and they go over in that field.
so I mean,
Plus there's damage.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah,
there's cars being tore up by the nails, there's trash. being
well, I mean,
torn up.
they got under inside and dug the insulation out from underneath my house, and I mean, whenever you
Bad.
accept all these cats to these certain neighborhoods, because people are stepping up and wanting to take care of it. Doesn't really help the neighbors, you know, and at some point, we gotta look at people's properties as well. So if we just attempt to
I see
talk
what
them
you're
into
saying.
going
I see
into
what you're saying.
an
I think
unpopulated area.
it's a great idea.
You know,
I'm
it's
just not sure. I think they'd come eat, I really do. I
It's
just feel
actually
about
about
getting them to
be
stay.
done in one spot that I know of to a certain extent, and that is, there's a person or two that's feeding them at the base of Star Hill.
Mhm.
Now, I do not know after they eat what those cats are doing after they eat. They could be going right across the street and going to those houses or going back up in the woods. I do not know, but I think Erin Stewart is the one who's feeding them at the base of Star Hill, and she may be a reference that you can talk to see what those cats are doing, to see if that idea may work.
I mean, it was just something that,
And those are the kind of concerns that initially brought these ordinances up.
Yeah.
That we were having some people that were not enjoying presence of the cats or even having some damage.
yeah, I mean, cause I appreciate it.
But then we went too far one way.
Everything that the cat lovers are doing for the animals, because they're animals and they still need to be taken care of, but whenever you're inviting all these animals to come there to eat, they still have to go somewhere else to, and they're gonna pretty much stay in that area because they know that's where their food's gonna be.
There's this house on Main Street that I was talking about that's abandoned, and I know that they stay, I'm sure you know the house I'm talking about, they go up underneath it. Nobody that I know of in particular is complaining about that one. But it's got those openings there. So they're gonna go someplace where they can find shelter.
Yeah.
And like in that case, and like what you're talking about, what about, can we get that house boarded up where they can't get in it or under it
Allen Lynn's gonna be a big problem.
and provide shelters there? Cause they get fed there in that yard, I think, or that.
On the porch.
On the porch.
On the porch, yeah.
Can we do something like that? Like they already go there, and in that particular case, there's nobody living there.
Right.
But we still don't want them going in there and tearing up the house and messing in it.
So I guess what I would say for now is, what I would say for now, I guess, is these are things I think we should discuss with the Cat Coalition more broadly. And I don't have any particular expertise for you tonight on whether the cats will work with a plan like that, or what would be the best way to work with the TNR Cat Coalition people. and put that into
If
effect.
it's something that we can do, I mean, I would definitely go for it. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be a great idea. It would help cut down a lot on the problem of defecation, and other people's properties and
I was gonna say,
damage.
I think it would, if it would work, it might be a good middle ground
Yeah.
between some of the concerns we've had and allowing the TNR program to go forward, because I really don't see an alternative to that.
Yeah, because the biggest thing with the TNR program is they have to have a safe place to eat, because that's the way they catch the cats. You gotta be able to feed them, and they have to trust where they're going to eat.
Plus the TNR program does do veterinary care if they
Mhm.
know that an animal is sick or injured. And
If they could catch it at the location.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they have to, be able to, the caretaker has to be able to see the cats to know if they're healthy or not. So.
Good, we'll take that and try to get that over to the Cat Coalition, so we can see if something like that would be feasible.
Need to have another public cat meeting.
And we might have,
She sent me several links, to some really good websites. I haven't made it to or through all of them yet, but
That's where I was with the ordinance. I opened it, it was like 47 pages of ordinance. I said, all right, I'm not gonna get this all in one bite. Work through this piece by piece.
Information, but you could just drive yourself batty trying to read it, especially in one, you can't read it in one setting.
That's a relatively new area. So let's continue if we can with the,
The abandoned houses and all that on this one. Wasn't there something about housing?
Yes.
Was Jeff?
'Cause that's where they're running to, and like, if Alan Lynn's redoing a house, and then, like, we watched him put brand new windows in one. 3 days later, it's full of cats, and it's not just Alan Lynn, he's just a big
yeah, I
property
think the
owner.
main problem is, I don't know what power the city would have to force him to do something different with his home unless it's becoming a public nuisance. Something like that, yeah, and then, even then, it becomes a potentially protracted legal situation in order to get a court order to be able to act on it. And even then, all we can do is abate the nuisance. We go in and maybe remove the cats, but if we can't, fix the property for him or something, and we'd be doing that at public expense, fixing the property, keep the cats out. It becomes pretty messy pretty quick. That's what city sells. What?
Both ways.
That's true. All right, so let's continue on. If you think of anything we have to add to the definition, feel free to get in touch on that one. The next one, again, is just model language. I was planning on taking directly a group of community cats that congregate more or less together as a unit and share a common food source.
I'm lost, where are we at?
We moved just down from, so I tried to separate them, maybe I should put lines or something, but you can see there's some extra space. So there's model language proposed for adoption, abandoned, and then there's some space.
Yeah.
And then there's proposed, current, and model, and those are all about community cat, then there's some space. And then there's the next one, community cat colony, that's just model language, proposed to be taken directly. That's just the definition they gave of community cat, I don't see any way I could improve it.
Oh,
So we're keeping the model language, we're not gonna,
Yeah, I'm not planning to do anything with the model
Alright,
language
okay,
there.
Okay.
On the next one, there's model language community cat management program. And I propose language that's slightly different. The language that I propose that's slightly different is to add something about the goals. That we're looking to maintain a stable declining population, minimizing negative interactions between unowned cats and humans, property and owned animals, and providing data on the unowned cat population. So the idea is that we're trying to get a better relationship with the Louisiana Community Cat Coalition, and that hopefully we can support the functions of the Cat Coalition. And it's just putting them in general terms. We are supposed to have an agreement with the LCCC, and I think lay out some of more of this in detail.
what type of data are you thinking?
I was hoping just some, well, that's part of what I would hope to find. We would need to talk to the Community Cat Coalition. In my mind, the main things would be, how many cats are trapped and neutered and vaccinated? And then if there's any way to get a rough idea of the number of cats that are in Louisiana, I know that's sort of tough, but I mean, birders seem to be able to get an idea of bird population, so I'm hopeful that there's some way that we can get information on that. But ideally, we'd be able to work with the Community Cat Coalition.
Well, I think being able to keep track of how many are trapped and neutered and vaccinated, I don't think that would be too difficult at all.
Yeah, that I know Dev already had.
And
But I think that part of it is that some of the complaints we've had seem to be that people, they don't understand what the Cat Coalition is doing and what the numbers are. And so I'm hoping that being able to get some kind of data, and the reason I didn't specify what data, because I'm not an expert on it, I was hoping to, we're working on the agreement with the Cat Coalition, that we'd be able to discuss in a little bit more detail what data would be feasible and what data would be useful, figuring out what's going on.
well, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Community cat caregiver. Let's see. Yeah, some of this language, I believe, was duplicative, so I removed it from the model language. So we've just added a little bit to what we have. Just adding provides volunteer care and temporary shelter. When I first read, I thought shelter meant they live in your house or something.
And
It's just
I
like,
thought, so what's different than an owned cat? And
we just put out like a little shelter.
exactly, and so I thought that adding temporary would just make that a little bit clearer, so those are pretty minor changes. All right, now, Bob, we finally got to something that you were excited about. Feral, unknown animal that is returned to an untamed state, not socialized in human contact, and is no longer considered domesticated. I took out the part about feral animals shall include but not be limited to, I mean, I just didn't see any reason for that language. It's just an animal that was domesticated and now it's not domesticated any longer. I thought that was enough. All right, now we're finally getting to this last one. Is the one that we were discussing before. This is the one that caused the trouble where you can see at the very end, section E was the deliberate feeding and adding a fine. That one is gone. We're removing that. And so in the bill that I plan to propose for the full council meeting, that language just won't appear. The reason I did it this way was so that we'd have what we passed last time and the changes that are being made to it now to show that that is gone. Also gone is the color-coded ear tags, because it did not seem that that was going to be feasible. And if we want to implement a different identification procedure, that's something I think we can work out in the agreement with the Louisiana Cat Coalition based upon what's feasible, both.
Well, they tip their ear when they neuter them. They cut,
Yeah, so we'll always know neutering, but we won't know vaccination status. And so that was the discussion we were.
vaccinations, even though they, like your house pets, you get it every year. Veterinarian, when pressed, will say that they're good for free.
And so what I think we'd like to have is some way to track which cats
And
were vaccinated when.
cats just really don't get rabies, therefore they don't pass rabies. Raccoons are much more dangerous.
Well, I'm worried there would be a situation, I think there was a Supreme Court justice wrote once that you don't throw away your umbrella because it's not raining. And it's sort of hard to tell, maybe the reason that cats don't get it as much is because we've got some portion of the population vaccinated, I don't know. But I mean, it seems to be part of the standard program. Trap, neuter, and release also includes rabies vaccinations, and I'm certainly,
At the time of neuter,
yeah. And so I don't know how long it's good for, or how grave the danger is, or anything like that, but
it's minimal to none, really, it is.
well, and so that I think we could deal with in the agreement if we need to. And then I left in the stuff about destroying property. That a community cat can be picked up by the animal control officer for purpose of evaluation of possible rehoming. Only if it's determined to be a persistent threat to life, health, or property. And that, I view that as referring to the dangerous animals ordinance. Perhaps we should spell that out. I think Deb Holland responded when I sent these out to her for input, and I think said that she maybe is a little bit concerned about that language, that we should spell out who and exactly how.
Could we reference the dangerous
Yeah,
animal ordinance and that, to clear that up,
I was considering that myself, that we just refer to dangerous animals.
since that's
But
what
I'm not sure dangerous animals includes property, does it?
it does not.
So I'll keep talking with her about that.
Or a nuisance portion in here. And if there was at one point.
In this language, or you mean a different section?
In any of it. Because you took out that part, correct? We did talk about at one point a nuisance using to protect the property,
Yeah, I think that was just this language here.
and that was the purpose for
Persistent
picking,
threats of life.
yeah, and that was the reason for picking up.
Yeah,
So I feel like it could be a threat to life or health would be a reason for utilization of that property.
yeah.
Just because it's tearing somebody's property, it doesn't need to kill it. I mean, that's a reason for
So-
picking up, but not,
Say there's a $90,000 car sitting in the yard, and a cat comes in, that's one of these cats that you tagged or done whatever with, they scratch this car up. There's one like that, Brian, you'll know, who pays for that?
that was a question I had at the beginning of all this, it's part of what I brought up. Because, you know, if a pet does that, the owner's held responsible, but how does that work with the community cat? That was actually one of my questions.
Legally, there's no one to sue. You can't sue the cats. And
But you
Cities on
guys are
access.
putting all this into ordinance.
well, so we are increasing the protections. To make it clear that a cat that is destroying property can at least be picked up. The way we have it now, they can even be euthanized for it. And that's what we're considering right now, whether that's too far or not.
But Rebecca's question is who's held accountable for the damage, correct?
Right.
Yeah, at the moment, legally, there would be, I don't think anybody to sue. I mean, it's not a question I've ever researched, but
But if the city's
Legally, I'll
protecting
see.
them and creating the environment for them,
Are we held accountable? for
could it
their
not fall
actions?
back on the city? Because you all are actually adopting all these rules that basically protect them and allow them to run at will.
And you can't declaw.
What do you do if-
because they have no way to
That's
fix it.
the alternative.
the problem is that the person trying to sue would have to establish a theory of liability, right? They'd have to establish that somehow we were negligent in our control of the cats or something, that we owed a duty that was violated.
I feel like every one of these meetings would
Right.
prove that you all are taking it. Again, I'm not saying that what you all are doing is not noble, but it's still at some point, somebody's gotta be held responsible for the damage that the animals that you all are protecting and creating all these rules for.
Well, so I wouldn't say that we're protecting them.
As soon as it goes into
because-
ordinance, it would be.
Because the alternative, there's not really an alternative to this kind of program. I mean, if,
So as the bigger people, I can't think of the initials, are they gonna be responsible?
the who?
The-
Cat
like the
Coalition.
Cat Coalition, there's a TNR program, so.
Yeah, that one.
Well, so there, I would still say probably not. And I would also say, I don't know that we could create liability by ordinance. I think that would probably be something that would be controlled by state law.
And here's another just silly question for you, because the cats seem to be a big focus. And I feel like a lot of the cat problems started with, oh, I'm gonna take my daughter to get a cute little kitten from somebody that put a sign up in Orsolans.
Or Facebook.
Or anywhere they come about these cute little kittens. And then once they grow up and not be cute little kittens anymore, and they become a pain in the butt at the house, they get turned out.
Yes.
Okay, what's the difference? Are at some point, the dogs that are running around, are we gonna create the same coalition for them to protect them, or are they still gonna be picked up by animal control and treated differently?
That was,
And we get.
That's the fundamental tension of these TNR programs.
that was my initial, again, my initial question about this, and I know Nick absolutely hates me for this, because I hate the fact that cats have a double standard. They don't have to follow the same rules and guidelines that the dogs do. I think, personally, I think that's crap. A person who has a dog at large is ticketed for dog at large, failure to register, failure to vaccinate, but yet we're allowing the cats to do it. To me, I don't think that's right.
Well, because I feel like the same thing can happen. The little child wants a puppy, you go get them a puppy, it won't get potty trained, so they kick them out of the house. They become now just dogs running around.
So ultimately, then that's a question, we've got a particular section of the community that wants to support the cats that are outside, right? That wants to try to provide within certain bounds, a better life for them. And also ideally, by feeding them and sort of watching them, keep the damage that they do to a minimum. In order, if they're just running wild, I guess the idea is that they cause more damage that way.
But I mean,
So,
okay, so but same situation with just take the cat away, put a dog.
yeah, so if we had a community if we had the Louisiana Community Dog Coalition, then we would have to address whether we could set up such a program, right?
Nick, I would like to start a community dog coalition. Because I think if we're gonna have one. we
Send me your
can-
stuff for next meeting.
All right. I mean, I just feel like it.
Next thing you know, we're gonna be in the Supreme
Again,
Court. for the rights of
I
dogs.
agree, because the simple fact is the ordinance states if you are the sole provider of an animal's health and safety, that you are by definition the owner of a pet. But yet again, we're providing those same things to stray cats and calling it something completely different.
TNR program is simply the TNR program itself, the LCCC,
Uh-huh.
is simply interested in neutering these cats to stop the reproduction,
Correct.
to slow, you'll never stop the problem, but to slow the problem. So I don't see where they can be held liable for anything. The caregivers are just trying. Let's enact this feeding ban. Let's say we've gone with that and nobody's feeding cats anymore. What's gonna happen? They're gonna be in the trash. They're gonna be killing more birds. They're gonna be chasing squirrels. They're gonna be everywhere. They're gonna be fighting more.
But Cassie, so with dogs,
The cat.
Yes, true.
I mean,
Dogs though will also form a pack and attack people, and cats don't do that.
Cats carry diseases and everything.
So,
They can, but.
we're off track. We'll come back.
Yeah,
We'll come back.
so if we were working from ground zero, I don't know that I would have written all of these ordinances for community cats. Like, I don't think I would have had the idea to do such a thing.
Great.
But that's not the ground we're working from at the moment. And so what I'm trying to do is improve the program that we have.
and I'm not trying to take away from the cat coalition program, I'm not.
Trying to keep it.
There's just some things I don't know that we're really at, such as liability. So somebody's gotta be responsible for something,
Yep.
Yes, John?
I
and
find
I
it
just
like,
don't want it to fall back on the city.
I guess, listening to all of this, I'm trying to ascertain in my own mind here exactly what the role of government should be in this particular, with respect to this particular issue. I mean, it seems to me, it almost mirrors what Madison talked about in Federalist 10, about the tyranny of the minority. Now, I don't know how big the cat coalition is. I got nothing against cats. My daughter had 3 of them. I like dogs. I don't have any, but I like them. You know, I'm not anti-animal at all. But at some point, how do you justify having a program like this that is so, I mean, let's call it what it is. You know, it's basically a city program to control feral cats. And how do you justify the budget expenditure? How do you,
well, there's no budget expenditure.
well, even if there isn't a
Volunteers, yeah.
but you got a group of people that want to control the feral cat, and feral cats are a problem. But how far does government, or how far do citizens expect government to go to address this particular situation? I mean, especially, you know, what if you don't catch them all? You know, I mean, there are all kinds of things that could blow up
Well, actually, that's,
and render this thing inefficient.
well, that's the problem with any other option is.
Right.
Is we can't capture them all. And so basically the situation we're in is that it seems that cats reproduce much faster than dogs do.
They do.
And therefore can become, and are more agile than dogs in terms of jumping and climbing or whatever. And so they become more of a problem. And so.
I get it. I got 5 of them in my backyard.
And so I wasn't here when we put this in place, but I'm guessing that there are TNR programs around the country because cats form a particular problem in terms of the damage they can do and the speed at which they can reproduce. And so ideally, these programs are supposed to help keep the damage down and help to manage the population.
And I mean, I see a real obstacle here, what he was talking about with respect to, you know, a cat comes in and tears up your Ferrari, you know, who's gonna pay for that? And do we wanna get in a situation where the city could potentially be liable for something like that? I mean, you know, that's what lawsuits are all about, to determine.
Even if you don't get held accountable at the end of the day for the lawsuit, you're still tied up in it.
Right.
Unfortunately,
No, I think we're looking at summary judgment, if not most. of it.
unfortunately, we're dealing with an ordinance that was written many, many years ago for the community cats that had not been upkept or anything. People just saw community cat, not my problem, not gonna worry about it. And then it became a bigger problem to where now we're trying to clean up something. And unfortunately, this is something, no matter which way we go, we're never gonna make everybody happy.
No.
We're just trying to find a middle ground of what we can do at this moment and fix the problem going forward.
Now, you
Again, I know we're
mentioned-
gonna
I'm
come back, I'm sorry, I know we're gonna end up coming back to this time and time and time again because we are dealing with living creatures. You know, it's not something where we can just go, they're a problem, wipe them all out. That's not the feasible cause here.
And I don't think anybody's suggesting.
No,
but-
no, again, no, of course not. But we're trying to find the middle ground to appease people who are having the property damage happen and the people who do love seeing the cats in their yards, we will never be able to please anybody. We've just got to try and find the best middle ground possible. And so far, this is what we're coming to.
And I'm thinking out loud here, perhaps it might be advantageous to go back to the Cat Coalition or whatever and get their input before you adopt the language and see exactly what may be possible.
That's what we've been doing.
Oh, yeah, so
Yeah.
we had a meeting.
I mean, I'm new to the cat fight here, so.
That coalition's gonna become aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if they feed me, that's okay. So, anyway, yeah, so we had, 2 months ago now, we had a big meeting with the Cat Coalition. So the first month, we had people that mainly had concerns about the cats.
We had the negative cat people
Yeah, and then
first,
the next meeting, we got the Cat Coalition, and we've gone too far.
Yeah.
And now we sort of got,
a middle ground.
yeah, a few more people, and I sent all these along to Deb Holland, who runs the Cat Coalition. Like, that's part of it, and so we are working with them as we go to make sure that, we're not missing anything huge here.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bring it up to date and keep things.
Yeah, I think you maybe take a little more time and make sure all the i's and t's are crossed.
Yeah.
Before you enact something like this, because once you do it, it's really hard to walk it back.
Well, see, this is the great thing
Well,
about these committees is because.
We are undoing the previous thing right here.
Yeah, I know.
The great thing about these committees now is you guys are bringing up good points and good questions like the community cat park. That is a great idea. These are things we can talk about, bring back to them and continue going back and forth with them on.
And now that we
Again,
have good contact with them.
Yeah.
I think it should be easier to get everybody happy with everything
Mhm.
first time around.
yeah, this is really just an open work study for everybody, so we can hear everybody's concerns and points of view, because Cassie, you have a better point of view of community cat caregivers because you are one and Corey and Becky, you have one of the other side of that because you had the property damage and things like that. These are what we need to come together so we can figure out what does and doesn't work on both sides.
So the only one of these that I think has to go up for vote this month is this last part, 210-115 community cats, because that's got the section 5, the E,
Yeah,
that we have.
Or we
to
take
get
that
rid
out.
of. Yeah, otherwise community cat.
Yeah, what were you thinking on that one?
yeah.
So that one has to go. If there's anything else on that one that anybody has, we can talk about that now. Otherwise, I think we've been through it all in general. We should be ready to move on. Are we all ready to move on?
Please.
Are we all ready to move on here?
Yay, we're just going with cats for now.
Is Josh on there? Otherwise, I'll go back. No.
No, he is not.
Yeah, it's right. All right, so what Josh wanted to talk about, we bring up the language here.
We're gonna wait for him. We're gonna circle back when he comes on.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
We're gonna move on, and if Josh pops up, back to that one. Is that okay? All right, moving on. Economic Development and Tourism Committee. Nancy, you and I are on that one. I'm the chair of that. Tim, I believe you had a meeting today.
Yes.
You wanna,
John, you wanna?
Yeah, you want to stand up or can I sit here?
will you stand and say who you are, please?
I'm sorry?
Will you stand and tell us who you are, please?
Sure.
You stretch your legs anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those chairs are hard. I'm John Phillips. You need my address and all.
No, just.
I'm John Phillips and,
Social security number, bank accounts.
okay, Blake. As I mentioned last time I was here, I was incredibly interested in getting involved in economic development, and I seem to have motivated some people that maybe it's time to start moving forward on some of this stuff. And so Tim reached out to me and some others to kind of get together and throw around some ideas about maybe what direction we might go, what we need to do. I mean, I've been reading about this stuff and studying about this stuff for a long time, for a few years, and you're not going to solve all these problems in 2 years. You just aren't. So we got together, we met upstairs. It was a really good meeting. A lot of good give and take around everybody. We kind of agreed that instead of trying to address broader scale issues, which we will at some point, that maybe we ought to address one or two things that we think could be symbolic of making some progress, and at the same time would be relatively easy to do, and see where we might go with that. I thought the meeting was, like I said, there was a lot of really good give and take and that. And we've kind of honed in on something that we think might be feasible. There are a lot of things that are gonna have to happen with that, but I'm really upbeat that this could be something that could be really a win-win for everybody involved. One of the things that we really talked about, one of the points I made was that there are a lot of really well-intentioned people that want to do a lot of good things for the town and all of that. But it just seems like you got one group doing this, and one group doing that, and individually, they're good projects, but we're trying to focus on something that could, we don't want to discourage that, obviously, but we also want to focus on something where, importantly, that the city council feels like they've got a vested interest in trying to do. That was something that Tim and all of us really were trying to hone in on, that we want you all involved in this process. Okay, I think it's really important because you're the elected representatives of the people. And I think it's important that we have your input. My thing is that, as I stated last time, I got no dog in any of the fights that are going on or whatever. I don't care about that. I'm an ex-paratrooper. All I care about is results. And I don't have much tolerance for people telling me I can't do things or, it's too hard or whatever. I'll do whatever it takes. I don't care. But the point is that I want to create win-win situations where we're creating a positive image. We're doing something that's good for the town. We're doing something that you all can feel like you're part of the achievement instead of this side being mad at this side or whatever. And communicating not only with you, which is really important, but also communicating with the community. I think one of the problems we have here is that there's a lack of communication with respect to what we want to do or proposing to do. And so one of the cool things that we thought would be a great idea once we kind of flesh all this stuff out, kind of get our ducks in a row, is to have a public meeting where we actually talk about this and get the community to buy into it. Economic development, the economic part of it is only one part. There's the political part of it, there's the cultural part of it, there's all of that you got to tie in order to make this stuff happen. And when if there's a potential tax increase maybe to pay for something or whatever, and that's not anything anybody's talking about at this point. But if you're trying to do those kinds of things, you got to have community buy-in. And like I said at the meeting, the last property tax increase here went down like a B-17 had been shot up over Germany during a bombing raid. I mean, that thing was huge. And you can't, there are a lot of creative ways that you can pay for this stuff without having to raise taxes. The last resort where municipal governments get in trouble is when they try to balance their budgets and raise money for projects on the backs of taxpayers, especially when there are a lot of creative financing options out there that are available to help finance these programs and projects. I went on the internet today and found 9 federal grants, general federal grants that would help with respect to paying for this stuff, and then there are a number of other federal grants that are project specific. So the government's begging us to borrow money take money from to pay for this stuff. So why not do it?
Are those full grants or are those 50/50 grants?
Some are full, some are 50/50. It depends on it just depends on the grant. And it's just at the federal level. I know the state has a lot of grants and those kinds of things. So, we can't pay for it. That's really not an option if you have these other sources of money that you can look at. So we're really excited about the meeting today. We're going to start doing some preliminary work and research. And then we're going to have another meeting here in a week or so and try to start fleshing some things out before we come to you with we want to have something concrete when we come here and not waste your time. But at the same time, we want to get we view it's vitally important, critically important that we also have your input. Because, like I said, you're the elected representatives and that's part of what you do. And so really, I think we all came away from the meeting, when you say, Tim, you know, really united. We want to get as many, you know, as many groups focused on this as we can and start moving forward and creating win-win situations instead of, you know, living on excuses that, well, we can't do it for this reason or that reason or whatever. You know, it's kind of a lead follower, you know what, and it shouldn't be that way. You know, everybody's input's important, and I think if we approach this way and take small bites and do one thing at a time, that it's gonna be a lot easier to sell that. Not that we haven't lost sight of the bigger picture, because there are a lot of bigger issues that have to be addressed too. But I think if we do it that way and, you know, try to incrementally do things where people are, you know, you're talking about economic development, and people are seeing progress. Oh, wow, they did this or they did that. They can drive by it or they, you know, touch it and feel it or whatever. That creates more goodwill. You know, because you guys, you know, city government's got a goodwill problem. But there's ways to take care of that. And it's communicating, it's working together, and everybody setting goals and working toward those goals, knocking them down one after another. And before you know it, you build a lot of momentum and, you know, boom, you're doing it. So I'm really encouraged. Tim, you got anything to add?
No, I think you did well, John. It was a good meeting, and just basically trying to kind of get us focused in on some things that we can be successful with. And I think the council is aware of some of the things that we're kind of looking at as far as the council side of it. And I think it's going to lead to bigger and better things, build that confidence within the community and so forth. One of the things that I'm trying to do in my position is to reach out to all the civic groups and the organizations and the groups and share this communication that John just presented. And once it gets all fleshed out and once it kind of gets, you know, council input and in support, is to reach out and share that and educate with the community, like John was talking about, as far as, you know, having public hearings and stuff that may be too formal of a setting, but basically getting a community outreach type of a.
We'll just do a community work study just like this would be great for that.
So I mean, as far as the Rotary clubs, the Elks, you know, all the civic and organizations, you know, just let them know we're all trying to work in the same direction. And I think the Restore LA will fall right into it, and we all just work in the same direction. So the biggest thing, the biggest caveat that I put out there is whatever we work towards is tangible. We can achieve it. It's doable. It's simple, but it's very doable. And we start building successes after successes after successes, we can take on bigger challenges.
Yeah, I make the baseball analogy. You know, one of the things I hate about baseball, everybody wants to hit home runs. Well, home runs are undemocratic. I would rather be Pete Rose and hit 2,000 singles and drive in a lot of runs. And I think working with this kind of stuff is the same way. Yeah, we all want to see, you know, more jobs coming in. We all have the same goals. But right now, how feasible is it for us to attract a factory? You know, it's just not. And so let's start winning some small battles and hitting singles, maybe hit a double occasionally, driving another run, but build it that way as opposed to, you know, all right, let's go out here and see if we can get the Sikorsky helicopter factory. Yeah, okay, whatever. And trying to do that because everybody then gets bored and frustrated, and then they walk away from it. We can't walk away from this. And like Tim is saying, man, if we can move forward with this thing that we're looking at, and that it's very doable, and it would really, you know, I think, be a good thing. So
Small progress is still progress.
anything is progress.
So that momentum.
That's right. It's just rolling.
Did you have that meeting today?
Yeah.
Yes, afternoon. Anybody got any questions?
No, it wasn't. It was just me and citizens.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions? Yeah, this.
I only asked because I am chairman of the group. I was upstairs. You should have just come up the hall and said, hey.
Well, because of the posting and stuff. And not to exclude, but really, I gotta see how well everyone's gonna get along.
Gotcha.
Just so everyone knows, Diana Huckstep was there, Janine Kelly, Guy Crouch, and also Linda Sutton.
You had a good group then.
So it is a good group, and the intent is just trying to kind of get laser focused on some stuff, and it's not an exclusion type of deal, but I do know as soon as we get 2 or 3 council people together, then we got to start posting and doing those things.
I'm only one.
Yeah.
I know.
One of the things we kind of talked about is, we want to have a hierarchy with the thing and all that. And we've just kind of decided that we're just going to be a group.
Well, I only asked because
No, I understand what you're saying.
No, it's a committee. You guys talked about it.
Well, is it or isn't it? I mean.
It is.
Yeah, well, okay, whatever.
If you want the council and the city involved, then maybe have a representative from council or city.
And that's fine, Ringo. I don't have a problem with that,
No, so that's
not my call.
The intent is to
I was reading about
the
it.
intent is some of these things we want to focus on is going to see if it's doable. And if we
Right.
know it's doable, then we're going to bring everyone on board with it.
Right.
It's,
You gotta see if the interest is there even to have something to move forward. I get
Right.
it.
Right. This is so preliminary right now that it's not even,
The test group of the.
it's like a really good dream at night, and there are a lot of things that we're gonna have to look at. But it's a really positive thing, and I don't think I think it would be remiss, we're talking about hypotheticals. I don't like to talk about hypotheticals because hypotheticals aren't reality. So,
Oh, trust me, because that's one of the issues previously on the riverfront stuff that was going on. Some of the issues on that, we know what all the issues are, but some of the issues was communications.
right.
So we're not trying to squelch the communications at this point. We just want to be sure when we come out with our messaging and the council involvement that we're all on the same page.
That there is something to communicate
Yeah.
about.
Is
Yeah.
is it okay if I share how this meeting kind of came about?
Yeah. that'd be fine.
Yeah, I reached out to Tim after our last time I was here and say, hey, I'd just like to get together, talk a little bit about economic development, see kind of where you guys are at or whatever,
Oh,
just
so
kind of
this is your fault.
gathering information. And Tim kind of thought it might be good to get some input from a couple other people, and that's kind of the way it went. And yeah, this was not something that was even remotely organized in terms, just a bunch of citizens getting together with the mayor to talk about stuff.
Honestly, you guys picked the best group, I think, to move forward with anything with that. I think you hit the nail on the head on that. I mean, if these are the people who are gonna get together and help build something to move forward, you got it.
I think the biggest thing with this is, a lot of things have been tried and all that, and you gotta put all that to bed.
Yep.
Okay, and we gotta start thinking outside the box on some of this stuff, because, I know a lot of effort's been put into this by various groups and individuals, and that's great, because they laid a good foundation. But, it's easy to sit around and just throw stuff against the wall, but you have to have some focus. And so that entails thinking about things from a different perspective. And I think one of the advantages of me being involved, and I'm not patting myself on the back at all, but I didn't grow up here, and I'm not caught up in all the past history stuff. Okay, good and bad. All right, all I see is a problem, and I want to solve it.
And you got a PhD to do it.
No, I don't have a PhD. I'm all a dissertation. I didn't write the book. I don't want to spend another 3 years writing the book
Reading the book.
and not getting paid. No, for a PhD, you got to write a dissertation, which takes like 2 years. I was 27, I had a kid, I had to go make money. So, but, I know policy, my degrees are in political science. I've done a lot of public administration stuff. I'm no expert, but I think the skills I bring to the table are that I can bring people together and create vision and guide things. And if I don't, you're never going to hear me say, I think the best answer, you will never not hear me say, I don't know, but you will hear me say, I don't know, but I'll find out. And I think that's what you need. So, okay, I'm gonna shut up, but taking your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You wanted to talk about the 4th of July?
So just to let the council know and let Tiffany know and stuff, my intention is to see what we can, what I can do as far as not representing the city in particular, but I do have an interest to see us have a really good 4th of July celebration.
You need to get with me, sir. You realize the chamber does that.
I do, but the chamber's not the only organization in town.
Nope.
So my intent is,
If you get with
to
me,
try.
Will, we can talk about it and tell you I can show you what we're doing on the chamber side. That way, if you want to help fill in the gaps on the other side, totally okay with that. Let's make this
sounds
the
good.
biggest thing as possible.
Because some of the stuff after the Bluegrass Festival and stuff, a lot of ideas just kind of coming up to the top. So we want to share that.
So just so you guys do know, the 4th of July is happening on the 4th of July down at the riverfront. We are gonna have food vendor from the Bluegrass Festival, the Rollin' Smoke's gonna come and sell barbecue. Rob Brown's gonna come down like normal and do his DJing. We're also trying to get another couple food stands or drink stands to come down as well. The police department's gonna do a dunk booth. We're trying to talk the fire department into doing tug of war with the police department as well. Sorry, I am talking fast. We're gonna do 50-50 drawing down there as well. We're gonna try and make this a not an all-day event, but we want to start the festivities around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon and sprawl it out through the night to really bring people downtown. So, with that being said, I don't have anything else for economic development. There was, Diana was trying to do a grant to get rid of some of the blighted properties in town. COVID happened and we haven't really heard back from the state representative. And then when we finally do reach out to her to continue with that, she tells us that she is, I believe she was leaving and we were trying to find, they were replacing her at one point, I believe, so. So we're still working on that to move forward.
The paperwork's still in.
It's still out there. We just have to unfortunately wait on that. Housing, health and senior services, Dean and Josh. Oh, Josh is on here. Josh, we want to back up and we want to talk about 110.260. Okay, Josh was up there.
Where'd he go?
There
I'm
he is.
here. I'm
Hi,
here.
Josh.
110-260. Basically,
Yes.
as far as that goes, I would like to just have a month to talk about the ordinances with the citizens that we're planning on making changes to. Unless it's an emergency, we're going to save the city some money. In that case, then I would be fine with trying to push it through that evening.
Let me get up the language here. (110-260), no ordinance shall be passed except by bill, and no bill shall become an ordinance unless on its final passage. Blah, blah, blah.
Does not say that.
Every proposed ordinance shall be in writing and should be read by title or in full 2 times prior to passage. Both readings may occur at a single meeting of the council. And so I believe, when I was speaking with you, Josh, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you wanted to remove the language, both readings may occur at a single meeting of the council, and instead insert language that it should be read at 2 separate meetings, right?
Correct. Unless it's an emergency.
Or define emergency then.
Yeah, my main concerns with that would be, as I think you and I had discussed, Josh, but I don't like things that force us to do one thing or another when we already have the power to do it anyway. That if there's something we think we need to discuss more, we always have the option of postponing it, putting it off to the next meeting or 2 meetings or however long it is we think we need. We can bring it up 6 meetings in a row if we want to talk about it. But for example, if we were to pass something, and it would be an extreme case, but pass something on short notice and have
a definition in our ordinance of what constitutes an emergency, you know, something that has to be done on a short period of time. In theory, we could be challenged on that for violating our ordinances. Then if, like if we're enforcing it against somebody, you know, if it's a zoning ordinance or something and we want to enforce it, somebody could challenge that action in court saying we didn't follow our own or our own ordinances passing it, I think.
So the word itself, emergency, can be redefined as far as, or another word used. But in the simplest terms, historically, up until this ordinance was changed, I believe it was Mayor Wallace that was the mayor at the time that changed this to allow for 2 readings in one setting. So historically, we got more years in, given 30 days between each reading. But as far as defense or anything else, the council can still do what they want, because all it takes is the language, however the council sees fit, whether it's 3/4 or 2/3, you can do 2 readings the same night. It means, so you still have the authority to do that. So regardless, and you can define whatever term you want to use to override waiting 30 days. So I mean.
So you would view it instead of necessarily defining what an emergency is or something like that, you would view it as just that it would require some supermajority in order to pass at the same meeting.
Yeah, even if it wasn't an emergency, it still requires a council vote to declare it an emergency. But you wouldn't even have to use that terminology. You can call it an override, whatever you want to call it. It's going to require an extra vote of the council to do 2 readings in the same night. But for definition purposes, the council would have to have some sort of justification for wanting to do that. And that's where the word emergency typically comes in. It's something that needs to be addressed soon, because any delay would cause a financial hardship to the city or undue harm or something of that nature, you know, if we were to wait. And that's the way it was historically. And I know, and I don't know, Bob, you may know the circumstances back when Tom, you know, switched that, or maybe Kelly might know.
Convenience, just speed.
Yeah, it takes forever to get stuff done. So much of our stuff is so I mean, it's not something that involves huge bunches of people. If there's something that somebody felt needed to be spread out over time, we certainly could do it that way. But most of our stuff is so mundane, it's like getting, it just makes it go on and on and on forever and ever and ever, and we never get anything done.
With the way,
Do we have copies of the ordinance as it was previously? It looks like the last amendment was 2003 from what I can see.
Probably, but somewhere I have to do research on it. You might wanna look at state statute, RSMO, that would just training video too.
yeah,
It kind of reflects the ordinance.
there was an address, there was something that was addressed about that in that training video we did.
See if I can find it.
That's something we need to be on, that's something we can come back to, so we can move along for time's sake.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, Josh, are you okay with us coming back to this at a later time, just for the simple fact of time's sake? I know you've got something you've got to do as well.
Yes, yeah, that's fine.
And we can look into this further and give the state side of it as well, just make sure that we're covering all of our bases.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to feel like we're rushing it over or rushing it. I just, apparently, we're gonna have to look at this a lot more from the state side.
And I will try to draft some language here on, I've got an idea what it is we're looking to see, if I can draft some language so that we can consider
I have-
specific language.
2000. Thank you, Josh.
Telling me you
On the city property?
Oh, no.
It was around when it was written. Okay, so we're gonna move on to Housing, Health and Senior Services and Disadvantaged Committee. Previously, it looked like Josh and Dean were on there. Josh, I mean,
Yes.
it's okay if I turn this over to the mayor just because he kind of had a reason.
We're in a separate housing.
Yeah,
The Health Senior Services and Disadvantaged Committees is my
Yeah.
committee.
So from what the old one is, it says Health and Senior Services, Nancy, you were the chair, Nick, you were on that. And then Housing Committee, Dean was chair and Josh was on that. So, and Chad was there on that as well.
Josh is
but-
the last man standing.
So Nancy would, I don't know, it would go between Nancy, because she's Health and Senior Services, and she is the chair that is here. So we'll give it to Nancy.
I already did one. Okay, on the Health and Senior Services stuff, I can do a quickie update
Yes,
on food bank getting moved, having a few problems with getting food in because of all the shortages of everything everywhere. Same with Pike Pioneer. They do their menu and they get their order every week. And then they end up having to change their menu because whatever it is that they ordered wasn't available. So there's the food shortage issue is starting to show up. The amount of meals that they put out on a daily basis is just incredible. They are still happily collecting funds for their roofing project. They have got some really nice donations, but they're still in need. Still a need for roof issues. It's a great place to go have lunch, and people have this impression that it's for seniors or for poor people or whatever. Basically, if you go there and have lunch, it's like $5.50. You get your meal, you get a drink, you get dessert, and it's very beneficial to them for people to go there and actually eat lunch because it helps their counts and their numbers. And what else can I tell you? Kind of a quickie COVID update, transmission level is low. Went looking for vaccination rate for Pike County is 40 to 49.9%, so we can't say we're doing really great with that. Case rate is 60 per 100,000. New admissions is 4.1 per 100,000. And inpatient beds at this point is 0.5%, so practically nothing. There does seem to be a general drift that they're expecting an increase this summer in cases. Let's see, the Pike County Hospital had a town hall on the 27th. Basically what they do is they have a survey that tries to come up with what the community needs, being the county and Louisiana, other areas around what's needed in the community.
So that was based off of the 2020 original meeting, town hall meeting, where the hospital had it, and
It's kind of the same thing, it's just, they have to do it every 3 years.
so I don't know if you guys remember that at all. It was a meeting where they were trying to address what services you actually do need here. And is it, I believe they talked about, mental health services, something that we don't have here. The closest one we have is Hannibal, things like that we could bring into our hospital and utilize here in our hospital. And then COVID hit and we never did get to address it again. So they're just now back in the meeting
Just
again.
doing it again. And it'll probably be 2 to 4 weeks before they get that summary back. some of the things that they had, was the mental health, behavioral health seems to always be a biggie. Opioid drug issues is always a biggie. Transportation, we have a lack of transportation. We have Oats here that can, that does transport people around. But we had taxi cab for a while. I mean, it would be a great little business for somebody to start up and run. There are behavioral health counselors at the clinic here at Pike, and there's one over in Bowling Green. So it's not like we totally have nothing in that mental behavioral health, which kind of becomes, you know, what's what. It's, that's kind of a quickie synopsis, and with housing being added onto this, homelessness in Louisiana, I would think anyone with a homeless problem would go to Bowling Green, NECAC.
We actually do have a homeless problem here in town. I know it's been brought up quite a bit.
Yeah, the reason I threw that on there is because we got some vacant properties in town. We've got some homeless people, you know, numbers of 5 to 8 in one trailer. I'll let Jeff know about it, and he's looking into it. Also know, not verified, but I've had people, we can talk about some 5th graders and 7th graders that are living on their own and trying to track that down. The whole reason I put this out there is possibly for this committee to maybe look in with the Ministerial Alliance or the churches or the civic group. You know, what is our plan to address, homelessness? You know, we're not going to just kick them to the curb outside the city limits. What is our plan?
We need to find a place where we
Yeah.
can put them either for the night or long term.
So with that being said, Nancy, has some other things that's going on too, is I know the Elks were really beneficial this year. They supplied grants to NECAC and the Ministerial Alliance, and we're not talking chump change here by any means. Significant grants to help NECAC help pay utilities, help with home repairs. Ministerial Alliance, they're looking, they would shelter people up to 3 days at the motel. They're looking at maybe utilizing one of the buildings, the bridge upstairs, turning that into a 3-day shelter type of thing. And they're doing all that because of the Elks, supplying them, or even not supplying them, helping. And the last thing on here, what I put down, building code enforcement, Kelly, I spoke with Jeff, and I thought it might be a good opportunity for Jeff to let the committee and let the committee as a whole know what's going on code enforcement. Talking about abandoned buildings, you talking about derelict buildings or properties, things like that. Be an opportunity for him to share in a work session what's going on. And I invited him tonight, but it was short notice, and so, but he did say that he had planned on doing the work studies with us. So
Yeah, we have a ton of really derelict houses. That the owners have managed to some way or other.
Get away with it?
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
like one,
Miller's building called on our barn.
and I'm not gonna get into any specific properties,
Oh.
but it's, yeah. It needs to get cleaned up.
So speaking with Jeff, just so you all know, speaking with Jeff, we have ordinance, we have a legal process. That's black and white. Nothing's going to change that. And there's nothing that I can do as an individual to represent the city in that regard. But as an individual, as a mayor, so to speak, some of the properties, I've went to some of the elders and some of the neighborhoods and asked, hey, what can we do? I mean, the city, what we're doing is black and white. There's nothing, I'm not talking about any of that. But what can we do as neighbors? What can we do as volunteers and organizations? How can we approach these derelict properties? I mean, there's a mess in the yard or whatever it may be. How can we approach them and offer assistance? You know, if we got volunteers, we got civic groups or whatnot.
Would they be willing to let us
Yeah,
help?
because we just can't walk in there and start cleaning up their yard for us, even though, you know, we're capable of doing that, but legally we can't do that. We have to have the homeowners buy-in on that, the property owners buy-in. So, I mean, I spoke to Jeff about it. That's a kind of a different approach. But that's getting the whole community kind of working together, you know, all right, well, how can we address this? Because we know going through the legal process is long, it's costly, and sometimes it's not as successful as we hoped it would be, but I'm gonna try this. And anyone else who's willing to help try this, I want to try that approach.
Well, they do a community cleanup day where, you know, they walk around town, clean trash anyway, so why not do that on a slightly bigger scale?
Yeah.
To do a bigger project.
And especially with NECAC offering, you know, they're offering funding, right, for home repairs and stuff. Why not see if they'll hey, can you buy a dumpster for us? We'll fill it up for you. You
Yeah.
know, it's cleaning up their home, their property. Let's see if we can do it. So that's another approach, but I just wanted to bring that up here.
You need anything else on housing? Health and senior services? Moving on, we'll go to Enterprise Public Utilities Committee. Kelly, it looks like you're pretty much gonna be the one to. It's on this one.
Yeah, a couple updates, the rescue funds project, which was the sewer main replacement and paving back over those areas, those bids are due in. Another project is a FEMA project, which is some spot repairs on branch wall around South Carolina, North Carolina area, and then also some damage that happened at the cemetery during the 19 event. There was a retaining wall that went down and there was a loose rock retaining wall that got damaged. So that's all net project. Those bids are due back. Still waiting. I thought I would have it printed out. I do not. Still waiting on our CDBG grant for clearance to advertise for our other two sirens that we're going to replace for the warning sirens. And then on a second CDBG grant, still waiting for clearance to advertise on it for a generator for the water intake.
What is CDBG?
Community Development Block Grant. So it's basically Fed money that is distributed by the state of Missouri. How that happens. So I think that catches us up. I caught the other set of projects in the other side, and I think this catches us up on all of our projects that we have out right now.
All right, I'll move on to Community and Employee Relations Committee. So we don't really have any kind of prior or
No,
names
so-
in that, so.
That was approved. Bill, Joshua, Ryan, and Bob. So this is kind of your all's first meeting.
Wait a minute. Sorry, the standing committees were approved, but the appointments were not.
Yeah, this was done totally separate of that.
Oh, that's correct.
This is totally separate.
Okay.
This was not a standing committee. This is actually something I ordinance. So this is your all's first meeting, you know, talking about this, and I listed some things, and if you don't mind, y'all can elect the chair who you want to chair the committee. That can be your all's first order, but however y'all want to do it. So it's Bob, Bill, and Joshua, and Ryan.
And this is the Community Employee Relations Committee, what you're talking about?
Yes. Ryan, would you like to be the chair of that, or you guys want to make a nomination for one of you?
It doesn't much matter.
Josh, you're still up there, right?
Any more than anybody else.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I know. Don't everybody talk at once.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's, like I say, it doesn't much matter. Two of the things are gonna come from you anyway.
Oh, Ryan, it looks like you got nominated there, but
As far as like the Rotary Club request, what would that consist of?
So, I mean, the first thing I got is employee recognition. That is wanting to, I'll probably bring some sort of recognition at the next council of the whole for Seth Murray for his participation during the Bluegrass Festival. And he worked and helped out, you know, tremendously. He even got a dog that was on the loose, you know, during that. So, and I've had several people, including Jody Reese, compliment about, you know, his help, and that really, it's really good recognition for seeing him step up. And
Who was that?
is
Seth
Seth Murray.
Our animal control.
And then I'll bring that up at the council for recognition.
I'm not poking holes, trust me, I like Seth, he's a great guy. He was the standby person at that time, correct?
That's correct.
Was he working as a volunteer, or was he working on a standby aspect of the Bluegrass Festival?
You got paid for it.
He got paid for it, but
Okay,
So anyway, so we'll bring that forth at the council of the whole. And then as far as citizen recognition, I want to recognize Jody Reese for the Bluegrass Pickers Festival. And I'll have that drafted and ready, you know, at the council of the whole. And then the Rotary Club request, Tim Jenkins got a hold of me. They're asking for a letter from the city. They are going to be applying for a grant. And in order to submit for the grant, they need a letter from the city because their intentions are utilizing the grant funding up there, Riverview Park. So I don't have all the details on that, but I'm planning on bringing something, you know, from him and ask the council to take action on that for that request for a letter for the Rotary Club. The DAR, the Daughters of American Revolution, Cindy Blaylock, there's a recognition. I think I believe, have y'all seen that email? So anyway, we do have a proclamation drafted and ready to go, and I'll be bringing that forth for the council to approve, the council of the whole to recognize. And then the last item is just anyone, if anyone had any citizens or any employees that had any concerns. That's all.
We're losing our citizens.
It's all new, brother, I'm just storing it. These are all things, as you get them, are you going to be recognizing Seth, or is that me since I'm the chair?
Well, it don't make any difference to me. I mean, it's the committee and it's however the council wants to do it. I mean, if that's the case, I'm bringing forth to the committee the nomination to recognize Seth.
But if you,
it could be a dual position to wear both the chair, I would prefer to be the chairman and the mayor do it
Yeah.
together.
I'm good with that, but you're recognizing them, so it would be.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm not, and here's the thing, any of the council people or even the citizens, if they got, for this committee, if there's any recognition or anything like that, I think anyone can put forth the nomination to be recognized. There's no monetary value set, you know, for doing such, but it's simple.
And you can always just give the floor to whoever wants to.
Yeah. Yeah,
You don't have to push them.
Yeah, you could be, if it were to come up in council, you could say, you know, there's a recommendation of an employee that the mayor would like to do, and then you could give it over to. representation, but you kind of get the MC and I know you're good at that. I've seen you do it.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best. I mean, that way, at least the true recognition is coming from you, because it's gonna be what you recognize. Same with the citizen side.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Rotary stuff, the DAR, and then the other amount. Sure.
Is there any more comments or questions on any of those?
Otherwise, we're on this one.
Well, otherwise, we got one left. Budget and financing. We had Chad and Dean on that,
No, empty.
so that is completely empty, but we know who knows the budget the best. Kelly.
So basically what we're down to is, we have a work study, for the budget. I would look for that at the end of this week or the first of next. Some of you have been through my work studies before with that, and we'll get the projector and we'll go through it line by line, and we'll bore you to tears within, 30 minutes.
15.
Yeah, okay, 15.
Can we drink?
Challenge yourself. Anyway, but be looking out for
It's really not bad. It's
for
really
that.
not.
And there's a few challenges that we have coming up this year. One of the biggest ones is we have just let our pay scale, and I shouldn't say we, the world moved pretty quick on raising some pay rates, and we've got to get those up, and we were able to put some money into our unrestricted reserves this year that may not necessarily be the case in this coming budget, because of having to get those pay scales up. On the other side of the world, on the enterprise, inflation is kind of caught up, and we're going to have to look at that ordinance that we have every April of raising the rates per the consumer index inflation. So that'll be talked about at that budget meeting also.
8-9%.
So on the employees, it's probably gonna be more than that, for the simple fact being is, we were so low.
We can't compete with local areas around us.
Well, you can't compete with McDonald's where we're at right now. So I mean, it just had to go. And I mean, it's become a choice for right now of trying to put some money into reserves, or, keeping your employees where it's at. I mean, that's just where it's at.
A wage increase plus cost of living, so.
Yeah, and there's, yeah.
I mean.
It'll be that, I think you'll see that scale has risen so much that, the cost of living kind of got caught up in, is already there.
Yeah.
So for enterprises that, we need to raise the water rates to cover both employees and like our chemicals going up. things like
Well,
that.
yeah, our main, we're seeing the big raise that is materials, trying to buy PVC pipe right now. So, I mean, it's just, it is hitting, it's hitting, if they have it too.
No, just cut
If they even, it's like playing all night with PVC pipe alone, and of course,
damn
brass
nightmare.
and copper and everything else that was full with. I mean, it's just stupid how
The-
works when, if you can get hold of it.
A possible increase like from water, would be likely to be able to cover our increases, not even counting what we're gonna do for employees, and we got some decisions. Some paperwork to do to try to balance out, figure it out, there's.
We're struggling to
It's
keep.
nasty out there,
Yeah, we're
folks.
struggling
I
to
mean,
keep employees or get employees. I mean, like you said,
I've got customers waiting 3, 6, 8, 9 months for orders. You can't get it. The supply chain is slowing down. Prices are going up.
Yep.
The less products out there, the higher it's gonna get, there's supply and demand. And it's gonna slow construction down. It's gonna slow everything down. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. We thought it was tough before, but it's gonna be pretty tough next year or two.
Won't say I look forward to it, but be good to hear more on that.
Kelly, I would ask if we could schedule it on a Monday, possible.
Okay,
I scheduled it possible to
let me see how tomorrow goes and see how much my day gets interrupted tomorrow. If I get a pretty good day where I'm by the phone, I think that by the end of the day, we could shoot for Monday if that's what everybody wants to do.
Not me, I had plans. I was prepared. I brought a schedule this time.
Well, I'll let y'all fight that out. Whatever night you wanna go.
I'll
let me
rock,
know.
paper, scissors, you for it.
No, that's my bowling banquet. You know how many weeks of bowling I've missed since March?
If we do it at the end of this week, if we do it at the end of this week, I can do it. It's just gotta be after.
Yeah. Let me see how things go.
Squeeze it in, Kelly. Did anybody have anything else for budget and finance? No,
Get out of here.
if not, that's all, folks.
Yeah, I missed about 2 minutes.
I know.
Doing those raised, that's what's starting.
That's, let me borrow it.
Great house.
Where you get
Tim, what's your
that?